One thing is very clear to us as the community members of Biliqo Bulesa and Cherub. Conservancies being taken to the court, it is not about the community interest. That is the interest of the few individuals who are trying to gain their selfish agenda.
This is Mustafa Mohamed Libin, quiet guy, northern Kenya. His home, Biliqo Bulesa, dry land, tough life. But in 2007, his people did something bold. They formed a community conservancy. Not the kind run by white settlers who never gave the land back. This was different. Built by the community, run by the community. A legal tool to speak for themselves, to strike deals, to take charge. Then they teamed up with Cherub, another conservancy, to revive and support traditional grazing. The old ways, smart, sustainable, regenerative. Then they decided to use carbon finance to fund their activities, and that's when they became a target. The Oakland Institute published a report. Heavy stuff, rape, murder, armed guards terrorizing locals. Then Survival International jumped in with their own accusations, said the carbon project was killing tradition. The media, they ran with it. No fact-checking, no calls to actual community leaders. You might remember episode 117. Well, this is the rest of that story. The community is in crisis, and silence isn't an option. You'll hear very little of me in this episode. No narration, no technical jargon, just voices from the ground, the people who live it. I'll give a bit of context to set the stage, then step aside. If this kind of truth-telling matters to you, help me keep it going. Support the show at patreon.com/Bionic Planet. It's Bionic Planet, no dots, no dashes.
Man may be unwittingly changing the world's climate through the waste products of his civilization.
There's a group of us now who are proposing that the Earth has actually entered a new epoch, and that is the Anthropocene.
We know that the enemy is carbon, and we know its ugly face. We should put a big fat price on it, and of course, add to that, drop the subsidies.
My name's Abdiaziz, a youth representative from Biliqo Bulesa Conservancy.
Okay, my name's Alcano Golo. I'm the chairperson of Biliqo Bulesa Conservancy. I'm residing from Biliqo Bulesa Conservancy.
Kwa majina naitwa Habiba Tadicha. I'm the member of the Biliqo Bulesa Community Conservancy.
My name is Abdidima Mohamed from Cherub Community Conservancy.
My name's Mustafa Mohamed Libin, one of the Biliqo Bulesa Conservancy community member and also Cherub Secretary General.
Here's the context. The Northern Rangelands Trust, or NRT, was formed in 2004 as a network of community-run conservancies. One of the founders was a guy named Ian Craig, who is descended from white settlers. But NRT is not a white settlement. It's an umbrella organization supporting community conservancies. In 2009, they started exploring carbon markets, using carbon finance to revive and support traditional grazing practices. The Carbon Project officially launched in 2012 with help from the Nature Conservancy. By 2021, it was providing money for schools, bursaries, healthcare, and technical support. Then came the backlash. The Oakland Institute dropped a report called Stealth Game. Implied NRT wasn't really a community conservancy. Put quotes around the word community like it was all pretend, make-believe. Accused rangers of rape, of murder, of land grabs. Most of it objectively, verifiably false. But even the Nature Conservancy wasn't 100% sure. So they brought in Kenyan Sena, former chair of the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. He investigated, found no evidence to support the claims, but said they should go deeper with more researchers. The Oakland Institute fired back, called his work a sham. Then Survival International doubled down with a report called Blood Carbon, claimed the project characterized traditional grazing as being bad for the soil, and said that NRT could seize cattle at will. None of this is true. In fact, the whole project is about reviving traditional grazing, not replacing it, as we learned in episode 117. Later, another NGO, Safer World, conducted over 1,000 interviews across 10 counties. Their conclusion, quote, "We did not come across cases of human rights abuses." Still, in January of this year, a Kenyan court ruled that 2 conservancies, Biliqo Bulesa and Cherub, had been formed without proper consent. So I went there, talked to the people. What they told me was a completely different story. This is their version, unfiltered, unscripted, and very much unfinished. By the way, when I reached out to Survival International to see if they wanted to comment, they asked me who funded my trip. The fact is, I did. I drove up from Nairobi with a friend. We bought our own gas, paid for our own hotel. If you appreciate this kind of effort and stories I bring, then pitch in to help me by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Bionic Planet. That's patreon.com/Bionic Planet. Bionic Planet again, all one word, no dots or dashes.
The judgment was done on 24 January 2025. As a Cherub Community Conservancies, we had the information on 23rd of January, just a day before the judgment was done. Yeah.
So you're the leaders of these communities.
Yeah.
You heard of this on the 23rd, the day before the judgment was done.
Yeah.
No one had come to you and asked you to participate or anything like that?
We had never been engaged.
And what did you think when the judgment came through? What happened then?
When the judgment was made, being a Kenyan citizen who value the constitutional right, we adhere to the rules of the judgment, although despite we don't disagree with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we never disagree with them.
Mm-hmm.
So we contact as a community members, we discuss as a board members, and we go and find out how that was happened, and we get an information that the case was filed on 2021. The judgment was done on 2025, 3 years later. So as a community members, we discussed as a community members, we had our press conference, disagreeing with what the judges did. And as core board members, we had a special board meetings and endorsed that we need to have lawyers alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a community members of the Cherub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has it impacted you? How has the judgment impacted the community so far?
The judgment has impacted a lot about the community. The Cherub Community Conservancies was registered in 2021,
mm-hmm.
being the new conservancies in an NRT family list, being the youngest among the conservations. The conservancy has a lot of the positive impact on the communities,
mm-hmm.
like the bursaries, in terms of the community development. It's a community initiative.
Mm-hmm.
The community has owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And the court judgment have the implication on us, because if they stop working, if the conservancies stop working, the community will affect.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are the conservancies we are dealing as our livelihood. We depend on them,
mm-hmm.
in terms of the bursaries, in terms of the logistics of the cast, in terms of the empowerment of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Out of they have 23 staffed, all from the Cherub Community Conservancies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Niongeze hii swali ya mwisho. Wakati tumesikia hii maamuzi ya kesi
To add on to the last question, when we heard the final verdict, we were deeply shocked.
Ambaye kama Biliqo Bulesa, we are almost 17 years now.
And during that time, the Conservancy has played a crucial role in transforming lives within the community. The Conservancy has greatly improved our quality of life in many areas. Through water projects, education, livelihoods, women's businesses, youth engagement, and the Maniata Skills Program that equips youth of all genders with valuable skills. So when we heard of the final verdict, we feared that all these positive developments might come to a halt. We were troubled, knowing that the lives of many people depend on this conservancy. Since it began, our lives have reached a peak in terms of well-being, and we have truly benefited from its
tunaona
support.
maisha yetu iko juu na tunaweza kusaidika vizuri.
Let me adding to this point of this judgment, the issue of the court cases. It has been said it comes as a shock to us, but those are just the challenges. In every lively aspect, there must be a challenge. But we didn't sit back and look at the rules that the court made. We have further made an appeal to the court. So the case is right now in the court. We are proceeding with it. But those who have taken Biliqo Bulesa's Conservancy to court are not the members from that Conservancy. The petitioners, they are around 164, 165. They are not residing from the entire Conservancy. No single person from Biliqo Bulesa Conservancy have taken Conservancy to court because they have known the benefit of the conservation, the benefit of the carbon fund. That's why they are not there. But the issue of the Cherub cases, they don't have the carbon fund because they have been initiated just some 3 years. It's a new conservancy. The rule that the court made, they say that let conservation be permanently done with. That was the last rule. There will be no conservation in the entire area. They knew that every year, for now, from 2022, 2023, 2024, back up to 2025, we have been getting the carbon fund. 2024, we got around 42 million. This year, 2025, is around 50 million. So if the court rule conservation be done with, then that 50 million, we don't know. It will be affected the livelihood of the entire resident. So we didn't sit back. We are in the court with the petitioners until we shall bring back the conservation. Yeah.
Yes, as our chairman said, we never heard about the case. That we are told that the judgment was the same day. So it was so sad that we even, as a community, we even shocked and we make protest about the judgment because we have never been satisfied with the decision. So our Conservancy had the carbon fund. As a youth, we have benefited a lot about that carbon fund. We had a program called Ujuzi Mtaani that people get skills from, as there's a mobile technician in there, benefited through that program. We have masonry, carpentry, we have mechanics. Yeah, it's a livelihood. So through this program, we have benefited a lot. So if this conservancy will be done away with, it will impact us a lot.
Kuna point nataka kuongeza kwa ile kuna negativity ya conservancy ambaye lawyers walileta mbele ya court.
There is a point I would like to raise. During the recent court proceedings, the lawyers presented a highly negative picture of the Conservancy, which was quite shocking to us. What they said in court is almost the exact opposite of what we experience on the ground. From our perspective, 90% to 100% of what the Conservancy does is positive and beneficial to the community. The main issues that frustrate us relate to certain projects and security concerns, but what was presented in court painted a picture of overwhelming negativity, 90% of which is simply untrue. The allegations made, such as claims that conservancy rangers have killed people and other accusations, were completely unfamiliar to us. Even the lawyers who spoke against the Conservancy clearly have no first-hand knowledge of the situation on the ground. If they were to visit the area, they would see the reality. The Conservancy has significantly contributed to community development. In fact, the Conservancy has done more for our community than both the county and national government. This is because the Conservancy is community-owned and guided by community opinions through annual general meetings, AGMs. It addresses key issues such as challenges faced by women and youth, as well as health and education, based on our own priorities. Even though we have both county and national governments, we still face many challenges. But within the Conservancy, our chairman and managers are locals who understand our needs. That's why, when we heard the statements made in court, it felt like complete lies from my perspective.
Kwa hii koti ilikuwa uongo kabisa kwa maoni yangu.
There's an issue I want to add about the judgment, and I want to explain the detail about the Cherub Community Conservancies and the Bulesa Community Conservancies. All these are the conservancies and the NRTs. We have 12 conservancies in Isiolo County and the NRT conservations. Out of that one, we, the Cherub Community Conservancies, we are depending with the donor fund. The donor fund is jointly with the Cherub Community Conservancies, the Siricho Community Conservancy, the Biliqo Community, the Kina Community Conservancy, and the Garbatula Community Conservancy. If they find out that the Cherub Community Conservancies are illegal, it will also affect the Chari. It will also affect the Siricho, the Garbatula, and the Kina, because we are depending with one donor. In terms of the Biliqo Bulesa Conservancies, these people are depending with the carbon funds. The carbon funds are joint money. They are using the same funds with the likes of the Leparwa, the Nasulu, and the rest of the conservancies. If the Biliqo Conservancies has been rendered as illegal, the judgment will affect all the other conservancies depend with the carbon funds. This is how the judgment will affect both the communities and our neighboring conservancies.
I want to add a few things about the judgment. When I heard about the judgment, I realized that none of the community member has taken this case to court. There are a few individuals who has taken this case to court who are not even the community members. None of the Charians or the people of Chari was involved. There was no public participation or awareness done. We had the case one day before the judgment. So as a youth member, I was very shocked. We even worried about the future because this conservancy, it has helped us in so many things like bursary, skills, and even it has built the peace and cohesion, peaceful coexistence between the wildlife and the community. Long before the Conservancy, our people don't know about the importance of wildlife and animals. After the existence of the community Conservancy, we had the importance of wildlife. We had how to conserve the wildlife, and it was so impactful. But we are now worried because this judgment will affect the community, and the future of the young generation will be so much affected.
Yeah, we are both the community of Boran communities. Mm-hmm. These are the people known by the indigenous people who are living in Isiolo. The Boran communities, before the conservation, they already conserved they conserve the wildlife. Mm-hmm. The traditional way of conserving the livestock, they are people living with the livestock. Traditionally, when the livestock are taking their waters, they must leave some waters at the tract. Mm-hmm. They say this is for the animals, the wildlife. This is how they conserve Despite that, they are hunters. they had the wildlife for the names or for fames. Someone who has been killed the elephant, they have been known as a brave person who has been respected by the communities before the conservations. When the conservation comes, they know the benefit of the conservation. They know that when they conserve this wildlife, they get the bursaries. They know that when they conserve this wildlife, they get the borehole to be done. They know that when the conservation is coming, they know that their youth have been empowered. There's a difference between they are conserved, despite they are conserved. Naturally, they conserve the wildlife.
Right.
They are living with this wildlife for decades. But they doesn't have the benefit of the conservations. If I explain how we get the donor fund from the as a Cherub community conservancies, we are depending with the AFD donor funds. The AFD donor fund is a connectivity grant. What do we mean? What do we mean by the connectivity grant? The connectivity grants, they connect the Meru Parks and the Marsabit Parks. We are living between the Meru Parks and the Marsabit. The wildlife living the Meru Park, leave the Meru Parks, pass through our areas, and go to the Marsabit National Parks. In between, we have the community conservancies that conserve the wildlife and assist the transition of the animals from one park to the other. But before the conservation comes, during the migration of the elephant, there's a time they are moving from the Meru Park to the Marsabit Park. But in between, people are used as hunters. People are using the morans of the borans, what do we call it? The youngsters. They look for the fames. But now the animals are moving peacefully today. So this is the difference between before we conserve and now.
Yeah. So, and basically the intent was there, although, obviously, elephants were in conflict at the same time. They were a problem, but the intent was there to conserve. But now with the project, you have more of a financial incentive to conserve. What was the decision-making process like to become a conservancy? Because there was a process, right? You had to vote to become a conservancy, right? Or did I misunderstand that?
The decision-making process, these are, the Bulesa Biliqo Conservancies are our neighbors. They established their conservancies around 2007.
Okay.
13 years later, after showing that our neighbors are benefiting from the conservationists, we, the community members, sit down, make a decisions, and to have a registration of the community conservancies. We registered our conservancies as a CBO, legally registered at the Ministry of the Gender and Social Service. They are we have the community board members who have been representing of the community members at the location levels. The Cherub Community Conservancies has 7 locations. Out of the 7 locations, during the establishment, 6 accepted the conservancies, 1 never accepted the conservancies. That is the BASA. But the rest of the 6, they accept the conservancies.
Okay.
They elected. They are bringing their representation too from their locations. That is how we form the CBOs and registered under NRT.
Can you explain? Because most people listening to this won't know what a CBO is. Can you explain what a CBO is in Kenya? Community-based organization?
It's a community-based organization.
Yeah.
CBO is a community-owned initiative. Yes, that is registered by the community members.
Under the Ministry of the Gender.
Yes.
If we further say more about how the Conservancy came about, Conservancy came as a community-owned program, not an imposed program. Now, nobody has ever come to tell the local community to take the initiative. But the communities sit back under the umbrella of the NRT. They brought the idea. So they put the ball in the field. So the community made several meetings with the national leaders, with the local leaders, so that the community will pick from there. So I mean, Conservancy means is a project, is a program that the community owned by itself. Yeah.
In addition to what Chairman has said, to my opinion, like Biliqo Bulesa, it was first brought by the leaders, our MP.
Our member of parliament was even laid off because of that opinion.
To our opinion, when we see Sera Conservancy, Melako, or the other Samburu Conservancies, we see the project, it was brought through Conservancy. We sit down as Biliqo Bulesa. We have 6 locations. We had a meeting with the chiefs through all the locations, and we sit down and write the application to the NRT to own one conservancy. That is how we have came through Biliqo Bulesa. We are the ones who write the application through the NRT. It is not NRT who came to us. We are the ones before we refused the conservancy because of mambo ya siasa, politics. But we came to see the neighboring conservancies, how they have get the whole community project, how they have get advantage through the conservancy. And before the conservancy, we have what we known by mambo ya windaji, poaching. But when we see the advantages of the other conservancies, before we started conservancy, there is no poaching. And they get a lot of advantages through the conservancy. But our people, they do poaching and they never gain because they are doing the business with the other people who have more education or more skills than them. Their work is only to kill their animals and bring the things to the bigger people. But coming to the conservancy, as we see Sera Conservancy, the neighboring conservancy of the Samburu, some of our leaders, community leaders, not the leaders of the politics, the small community leaders went to other conservancies after they are seeing the advantages. We came and sit, do our meetings in every location, come together, write application to the conservancy. That is the way we get Biliqo Bulesa. Not NRT who forced us or came to us.
The fact that you're mentioning that, it sounds like you've seen the accusations. It sounds like, because this is, when you read the press, when you read the material that Survival International publishes, that Simon Council publishes, or that the Oakland Institute publishes, it sounds like, in fact, I can read you some of their statements. They claim NRT moved in, forced people to participate, that they physically come in and move your cattle if you don't participate. They claim that they're killing people. They make all kinds of scurrilous claims. You've seen these accusations. It sounds like you've read what people have said about about your conservancies and how you participate with NRT, right? That's the impression I'm getting.
The negative publicity we are hearing in the WhatsApp group, in the Facebooks, and around the networks, those people who are moving this the negative about the conservation, about the NRTs, those are the town dwellers. Yes. The town dwellers. Those people are living around this town, around these towns. You can see one from the Cherub, one boy from the Cherub who has finished the Form 4 and moved to the towns. Is the one who is expressing these people to the expressing the WhatsApp group about the negativity about, who have already disconnected from the communities. He doesn't know what about the NRT is about. He doesn't know about the conservation or about. And as we do some community engagement, as we are doing some community engagement, engaging over even the town dwellers, what we have observed that our community doesn't recognize, doesn't know the difference between the community conservancies and the private conservancies.
Explain that difference, because our listener, I know it from talking. I didn't know it either. Can you explain it?
The community conservancies is owned by the communities. They are owned by the communities. They are community initiatives. But the private is owned by the individuals. Like the lower conservancies is about the owned by some individuals. Those are the individuals' farms. Mm-hmm. But this one, we are the community initiative owned by all the communities. These are registered as CBOs. The other one is registered as a companies or what? They are ownership by one individual. But if you, as we are doing some community engagement, some people are, especially the town dwellers, they told you that you want to face our lands as the Lewa did, but we don't face the lands. Even if right now from the Biliqo Bulesa Conservancies, these are the community conservancies, exist for more than 13, 14 years. There's no one fenced that the land was fenced. But this, the town dwellers, those who doesn't have, who have disconnect themselves from the communities, are the people who are expressing this negative impact. They are expressing this negative. They don't understand the difference between the community conservancies and the private ones. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like there's intent on their part. They just don't know. They hear stuff, they misunderstand stuff, and they repeat it, right? You're not saying that the townspeople are intentionally spreading lies. They're just making mistakes, right? It sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah. Now the issue of now, what you are talking about is myth and misconception. Those survival internationals and those paralegals, they just come there. So they come meet some local people. They are giving some small tokens.
Giving some small tokens.
Yeah, they are giving out some small tokens. So you just see that the report they give out is not there at the ground. Because when they come and see over 96 people are killed, women are raped, and we have never had the issue of women to be raped by the rangers or a single person to be killed by a ranger. It could have been in a police OB.
Not a single case.
Yeah, none. So those people, if they come there, they have only one mind. If they say they come, the land will be fenced, and there is no single nail which was placed in that area, then so they come and implant those misconceptions that the community to get that negative mind against now the conservation. So we asking them, some of them, if they come and interview us, they mostly question about NRT. It is as if they are having their own agenda. They could have find even donors for us instead of coming and taking some wrong information from us, and then they go and then they place it in the media. So those allegations, which was put even in the court, it is not even there at the ground. That is what we can testify. Yeah.
Something you brought up before, this lawsuit was filed by people outside the communities, right? Who filed the suit and what was the motivation? Do you know?
Those people, the petitioners, are 165 recorded by the statements. They are all from, they are some who are from the Cherub community conservancies. None of them are from the Biliqo Bulesa conservancies out of 165. Okay. We have get the list, we have analyzed it, and some people already denied it. Out of 165, 20 have swear the affidavit, denying that they have never been consulted. The ID was just taken out of 165.
So they denied that they signed it, or they denied that
they have not signed.
They said they never signed.
They have never signed.
They said they never knew about it.
They never knew about it. Their name has been misused.
Okay, so total fabrication.
Full fabrications. And out of the rest, it's like they are writing some nicknames. They are writing some nicknames. That's this person. They are in a community. You have your own name communities, but there's this official names. The name written there 165. The rest, the other is another nicknames. The IDs and the names are not the same.
Okay.
These are the people who have been signed. And sometimes it worried us, and it really gives us confusions. Who are the behind these people? One of the petitioners is our friends who has been contested for the MCST. He has lost the MCST.
He's lost the what?
The MCST.
What's it?
Yeah. From
What's
the
that?
Cherub. He's called Abdraman. Member of County Assembly.
Okay.
Yes, he's used this name. Is this the lobby group as one of his campaign tools? That he has stand with the communities. Out of the 165 who have been petitions, we have received 3,760 the community who has signed against these petitions. We have the list.
So you have 3,000 plus who have signed, and they've signed for real.
For reals.
Right.
They have 165. Among them, 20 have denied it. The rest who have the idea have been forged. So you can see even, I think this kind of the conversation we need to do it at the ground level. We are happy.
Yeah.
If you visit the Cherub, just without taking the official or the community leaders, you just randomly pick one community. They will give you the answers. I think we are happy. If some news who are taking the news, visit the Cherub. Despite it is far, like 210 kilometers from Misholo, you need to go there, see the communities, see the Cherub community office where they have been situated. Have there any fence has been done? You go and do 1, 2, 3 samples from the community without being called. As now, somebody think that we have been called by the NRT to go and defend them.
Right.
The perception of the communities that we have been called, being given the allowance to go and defend.
Right.
But it is the best as independent journalist. You go there by your horns, without passing any people.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation with the police, informing them that we are here and you are doing some own research. Do your own research without being directed. You will get the answer.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping some reporters take you up on that.
Yeah.
And it's what's frustrating to me, again, having been in this space for a while, is the tactics you're describing are pretty typical. I mean, if you remember, on the other side of the argument, the climate science deniers circulated a big petition 20 years ago with the names of all sorts of scientists on it, and half the scientists said, we never signed it. And then, and similar to your situation, I worked on a project in Brazil, the Sudari Carbon Project, where an organization also submitted a petition claiming that all these community members had signed it, and we went to the community members, and they're like, I didn't know. They didn't know. It's a horrible tactic, and I do hope reporters take you up on that and come and visit the territory and speak to you guys and see what it's really like. Another accusation that keeps coming out, like what you're involved in the rotational grazing. What is traditional grazing like? What was changing, and how did the project help you to sort of shift your activities? Because when you read Survival International, they say that NRT comes in physically. I can read it to you if you want. I remember I read yesterday. Do you want me should I read this to you, or should I?
No. We have it in the internet.
What's that?
We have it in the report.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in there. It's basically, they say that they come in, they physically move your cows, they take them away from you, and they put them in another place. I know every time I tell people this, they laugh, like you guys are laughing. But can you talk about the reality? What sort of practices did you traditionally have? What was changing, and how has this rotational grazing? What has the impact been, and how have you participated in it?
We are the Boran Community Conservancies who are dealing with the livestock. We have our traditional way of maintaining our livestock, what is called the Deda.
It's called what?
Deda is a traditional way of there. When the conservation comes, they strengthen the traditional way of our livestock. The traditional way of grazing our lands, they just strengthen the existing.
They strengthened it.
Yeah. They never changed. They have already, as a communities, we have already the existing grazing system, whereby we know even at our young age. At Wanabanyach, we are born and landed in Cherub. We know that during the dry season, we know where our livestock is. We move with the livestock. We go to school at that distance when the livestock. We know that at the grazing areas where our livestock goes. During the dry season, the wheat season, our livestock move to the lower side. During the dry season, to the high side. We know it. Then when the conservation come, they come to strengthen the existing, the already existing the data systems. They give the strength. During the dry seasons, our livestock move to where there's boreholes. Before the conservations, our community used to sell their livestock to water in there during the dry season. But now, the conservation come to give them fuel. They give them fuel to water in there. We have already supplied a lot of the fuel to the boreholes committees. We are even reducing the burden. During the wet season, they move to the lowlands where there's a. So we are just strengthening the existing. Nothing has been changed by the conservations, or nothing has been changed by the coming of the conservancies. Yeah.
I want to add something. Before the conservation, we had our traditional way of grazing. But when the Conservancy came, we had a lot of plans. We used an approach whereby we formed a grazing committee. A grazing committee is a number of individuals formed as a committee whereby they are planning for the grazing, the system of the grazing, where these animals are supposed to be taken during the dry season and where they are supposed to graze during the wet season. So the committee have a structure, a well-planned structure about the system of the grazing. So this conservancy has transformed our traditional way of grazing to a better one.
Now, this Biliqo's name NRT changed our data system. It's not there. In this rangeland system, we have one challenge. That is insecurity. Insecurity. Yeah. This one is brought about by our neighbors. These people comes in 4, 3, just sitting in the bush. They are just thieves. So this becomes a bigger challenges to us. But the issue of NRT changing our data system, I think is not there. Yeah, but it's our neighbors who are disturbing us. Yeah, interrupting all our systems. Yeah.
And could that be benefited by maybe bringing the neighbors into the system? Would that be a way of benefiting it? Would that change them, or is that not really doable?
We are not engaging them in our system. Right. Even during the drought, when they come as an influx to our area, sometimes we give them water, we give them pasture. But beside all those favors, they still kill our people. They still stole our people, our animals. So we don't have gut to keep them in our areas. Yeah.
That's just one of those things. I mean, life is like that. And unfortunately, when you read people like Survival International or the Oakland Institute or even Greenpeace, they will make it sound like everything was perfect, everything was harmony, everybody was living in paradise, and then the project came and everything got bad. I mean, that is pretty much the assumption. That's how they present it.
Our conservancy bordered the Solar County bordered another county. Like we are bordering the Wajir, we are bordering the Marsabit, we are bordering the Samburu County, and we are bordering the Meru. So during the dry season, when our animals move to the farthest, there are some communities who are coming in. We are known, our Borana communities has been known with their livestock. They have been known by their grazing land. They have the plenties of the grazing lands. We have like the Lorian swamp where people are feed during the dry season. They are known with it. So when they are finished the life, when they are finishing their grazing lands, their communities are moving. The another counties are moving. They are bringing the animals to their grazing, which brings some discomfort and some conflict. Yeah.
Nikiongeza kidogo kwa ile maoni ya kwanza wakati the paralegal
To
people
add to the initial opinion shared by the paralegal, there have been increasing reports of killings in Echaria since the Conservancy was established. But we believe this problem originates from our neighbors. Based on what we've learned, their culture plays a significant role in this issue. It is considered a rite of passage for a man to rob or kill in order to marry within their community. This practice is what drives them to come in groups of 2 or 3 and cause disturbances in our area. However, it is also important to note that even in areas without conservancies, similar problems persist. As pastoralists, some believe their way of life includes stealing and killing in large numbers. Conflicts continue between the Samburu and Borana as well as the Borana and Somali communities, with ongoing thefts and killings not limited to conservancy areas alone. Neighboring conservancies like the Samburu and Rendili conservancies are also affected by problematic cultural practices. In contrast, since our conservancy was established, we have experienced positive changes. We now earn a decent income. Our wealth is protected and we face less theft and violence. Unfortunately, outsiders from other communities still infiltrate our area, often in groups of 2 or 3, stealing day after day. This ongoing theft is what has led to the decline in the reputation of our conservancy. Therefore, we assert that we are not the hostile ones. It is the neighboring communities who bring trouble. Sometimes during prolonged droughts, they come seeking grass or water. And while we offer help, they still harbor thieves among them. These individuals are the ones damaging the reputation of our conservancy. Some claim that rangers are responsible for killings, but that is not true. Even before the Conservancy began, there were frequent conflicts and killings among us. Since the establishment of the Conservancy, peace committees have been formed through the Borana and Samburu Conservancies, and they have maintained peace. Nonetheless, theft continues due to the persistent cultural practices of certain neighboring
lakini
communities.
bado ile wizi iko kwa sababu ya ile culture the other community.
One thing is very clear to us as the community members of Biliqo Bulesa and Cherub. Conservancy has been taken to the court. It is not about the community interest. That is the interest of the few individuals who are trying to gain their selfish agenda. We have never taken a conservancy to the court. So that one thing is very clear, and let the world know.
Kile mnataka kuongeza dunia isikie.
What I want the world to know is that the ongoing case does not involve us.
We are not included as a community member of Biliqo Bulesa. Hakuna community yetu
Because we are not part of the group that has taken the Conservancy to court. As community members of Biliqo Bulesa, no one among us has written their name in that case, claiming to have an issue with the Conservancy.
Kama akina mama, Conservancy imekuja kutusaidia as the general community, as an individual.
If the Conservancy were to be shut down today, it is we, the community, who would suffer. As women, the Conservancy has been a great help to us, not just as a community, but also individually in our households. For example, when bursaries are given for our children's education, everyone benefits.
Na wakati hakukuwa na Conservancy tuliweza kwenda kubeba maji for 4 kilometers.
Recently, during a drought, the board allocated funds to purchase food for every household. Women also receive financial support for small businesses at home. Before the Conservancy, we used to carry water for 4 to 5 kilometers on our backs. But now, every center has access to water, education, and health facilities nearby. This has made a significant difference. Personally, I can now go to a nearby hospital and get treated. We also have 2 vehicles, one for security and one for community use, which serves as an ambulance when needed. We believe that the people opposing the Conservancy are not beneficiaries like we are. They don't understand or appreciate the positive impact the Conservancy has had. They are talking about issues from an urban perspective and have not visited the rural areas to see the benefits for themselves. As a woman in this community, this deeply upsets me. Instead of asking just 5 of us, you should visit the rural areas and confirm whether the views we're expressing are true. The 165 people who filed the court case do not represent us, and their actions are frustrating. They are speaking about things that don't exist, or perhaps pursuing their own interests, which we don't understand. I want to make it clear to the world, the Conservancy has brought 99% benefits to us. The funds come from donors directly into community accounts managed by our local chairman, manager, and board, all members of our community. During our annual general meeting, AGM, we voice our opinions. The funds are used to develop infrastructure, hospitals and schools, benefiting all of us. To us, this Conservancy is like a cow in our homestead. It is ours and should not be taken away. Those who have issues with it should have proposed an alternative, not pushed for its closure.
So tunaona hii Conservancy ni kama ng'ombe yetu ambaye iko kwa boma.
Shutting down something that has been helping us without offering a replacement shows that their intentions serve personal interests. No, we want everyone to hear us clearly.
Na wakisimamisha ile tuko naye wako na interest yao pengine.
This court case does not serve the good of our community or Biliqo Bulesa. Biliqo Bulesa is owned and managed by the community. The income from carbon credits and livelihood projects benefits us directly.
The community. Ambaye pesa inatoka nje ya carbon, kuna ya livelihood kutoka Conservancy, yote ina.
Those who are challenging this setup are outsiders, and what they are saying does not reflect the reality on the ground. That's all I wanted to say.
Wametoka wapi na wanaleta kwa nini? Na kile wanaongea yote haikukuwa kwa ground. Hiyo ndio nataka kueleza.
The things have changed. The things have changed. Yes. Initially, our elders and when we are young, you are known by how many animals you have it. They keep animals for their numbers and for their fames. The elders who has a lot of cattle has been respected in the society, and their children have been known. Their children has been known. It's a son of who and son of who because of the livestock they are on. But now, with these centuries, things have been changed. People have taken their children to the schools, and some of their child have studied about the livestock productions, and now they are now generating some productions of the. There's a people who have started their feed production in our areas. Feed productions. They have people who have the idea about the pilot project. There's a society, the cooperative of the livestock, who have already registered. They are emphasizing about the piloting, and things have changed. They have even reduced. Initially, they use it for numbers. Now for the economical values. Yeah, people have sold their livestock to buy a plot in Isiolo. People have they sell their livestock to have some rental housing. Things have changed, not like before.
Through the Conservancy, we get a lot of projects, which even puts our living standard of the women up to individual in the house. One, before the Conservancy, we are going for water for 4 kilometers. Early in the morning, we wake up after cooking tea, taking the children to the school. We are going for the water for 4 kilometers, bringing the drums on our back. But after getting Conservancies, we have a lot of water projects in our centers. Mm-hmm. Now we are getting the water in front of the house or in the locations, very near. Again, a good example in Biliqo. in my center. Before, the women are coming from long distance for clinic. For clinic with the bike, maybe walking, because we are the pastoralists. We are living some 10 kilometer, 20 kilometer from our centers. For the women who are there, they are coming for the clinic with the footing or bike. But now we are getting the clinic centers, the hospitals near us, which was brought by the Conservancy. The money we get through the carbon or even livelihood through the Conservancy from the donors. Again, we get the bursaries, women. We get the bursaries as individual through the carbon credits, carbon money, and even through the Conservancies. Because all it is brought for the community and it is owned by the community. And we are even included in the board. I was a former chair in Conservancy before our chair. So, even we are there, five of us in Conservancy board, we are included in the Conservancy grazing, and our opinion are respected. That is all. And even we get the funds for women to get to do their business from the Conservancies as an individual in the house. And the last years, when there was a drought, we have been given a food ratios as individual, all the community in the house. So we are the one. The women are more benefited from Biliqo Bulesa Community Conservancy even than others.
There's an issue I don't know why she forgotten. I know about the women empowerment. There's a program, the Conservation Habit, about what we call the Women Caucus. It's a formation of the cheerleaders of the conservations who are come together and trained by NRT about the leadership management. She's among the students of the conservation leadership management. I think she has finished and she has some certificate. These are the women who have not initially the cultures allowed them to stay at home. Their roles was just to stay at home, take care of the babies, and cook for the husbands. And now they have been out there advocating for their right. They have been trained. They are advocating for their right. They have been trained about their hygienes. They have been trained about their leadership management. They can now vocal. They can stand up and talk in front of the men. She's among the people who has been affected by the early marriage, who have never been studied their educations. But now with the training of the leadership management, she know how to train herself. She has started the business. She now take her children to the schools. These are the benefits of the conservation habit. If now she can work initially the women are in our culture. The women are not allowed to talk in front of the men. Now she can talk. She can lobby for the community groups. There is another issue about the Ujuzi Manyatanis. These are the program we have it as a conservationist. The Ujuzi Manyatani is training the youth who are left the schools, the hardest, who have been affected by the early marriage, the dropout. These are the people who have been trained on the Ujuzi Manyatanis. The skills about the what do we call the cloth makings. They train about the mobile repairs. They about the motorbike repairs. The herders who have been in their livestock, the drought taken their livestock who are remain. Instead, they bring herders. We bring them together to train. Out of the 50 people who are trained in the Cherub last years, almost 40 are the ladies, the early marriages who have been married at the young age. Now they are doing their own business. This is the advantage we have it as the conservations.
That was Mustafa Mohamed Libin closing out this episode of Bionic Planet. But before I go, let me just say up front, I'm under no delusion that I've told the whole story. For one thing, as I mentioned earlier, these community conservancies don't exist in a vacuum. They're stitched into a messy patchwork of Kenya's past. These community conservancies exist alongside older private conservancies. Most private conservancies are owned by descendants of colonial settlers, as we heard in episode 117. Also, one of the founding figures of the NRT, Ian Craig, is part of that lineage, so it's understandable for people to get confused. But confusion and intentional obfuscation are two different things. I also know that NRT didn't always get it right. They've admitted it. Early on, they worked mainly through elders. They didn't always include everyone, and only later began to implement formal FPIC procedures. That's free, prior, and informed consent procedures, but that's a far cry from the outrageous claims against them. The deeper we dig into this, the more it looks like people in these communities are being used. Not helped, not heard, used by Western NGOs claiming to act on their behalf. They're caught in an ideological battle between NGOs that are ideologically opposed to the use of market mechanisms and those who see markets as an effective tool for community empowerment, if implemented correctly. At carbonparadox.org, we call this the ideologies paradox, number 19 on our running list of paradoxes inherent to carbon markets. So I'm going to start tagging episodes with the paradoxes they reveal, kind of the way carbon projects list their sustainable development goals. Think of it as a roadmap through the noise. My objective is not to claim that carbon projects deliver paradise on Earth, but merely to bridge the dangerous divide between legitimate debate and public discourse. Because if we don't get the facts right, we won't get the solutions right. Finally, if you want more and better episodes, more truth, fewer headlines, then help me keep going. Become a patron. Just go to patreon.com/Bionic Planet. That's patreon.com/Bionic Planet. Bionic Planet, all one word, no dots or dashes. That's all for today. Until next time, I'm Steve Zwick, now back from Kenya in Chicago. Thanks for listening.